My name's Della, at Della Upshire. I live in Alicante in Spain, up in the mountains. I retired 12 years ago because I was very ill and I couldn't work anymore. And it's really lovely, plenty of fresh air.
Yeah. So what did you used to suffer from?
I had a triple heart bypass. I had vertigo, depression. I had arthritis in my hip. I was on sleeping tablets because I couldn't sleep. I had E. coli. I still have E. coli, and lots and lots of other things wrong.
Yeah, I know you made a list. Maybe you could see if you remember everything.
Yeah, arthritis in the hip, vertigo, herpes, a very, very low immune system. My kidneys were in the danger zone, and I was on nerve tablets and sleeping tablets.
Wow. Okay. So how was these things affecting your life and health?
Because I live in the sun and it's 36 degrees, I had to stay indoors and have the air conditioning on. If I stayed outside and tried to do anything, I'd get very bad. I'd have to take a GNT spray and I'd get rushed to hospital because my blood pressure would go up, and I couldn't run, or I could walk, but I was getting old. I was deteriorating. I was getting old, and my knees, everything was just packing up basically.
So were you working at the time?
No, because I'd moved to Spain, and for the 10 years I was just declining in health basically.
What was it like when it was worst?
It was terrible because I couldn't live my life. I look after my husband. He's disabled, and I had a job to bend down to put his socks on. I'll say no more because that tells you how unfit I was, that I couldn't even, I struggled to help to put my husband's socks on.
Right, and he was in a wheelchair?
He was relying more and more on a wheelchair, but luckily I put him on the same diet I'm on, and he's not in a wheelchair anymore.
Wow.
And he doesn't need to have his socks put on. He sits on the side of the bath and puts his own socks on. I never thought I'd see that again because he would topple into the bath, but he's recovering slowly. It just gets better and better and better.
So were you on any medication?
Was I on any medication? I was on 14 different medications for blood pressure, for my heart, for the vertigo, for the herpes, and major medication. It wasn't, and sleeping tablets, nerve tablets.
What is vertigo?
Vertigo is where you lose your balance and it's awful, and you have to sort of lay down in bed and you take these very bad tablets for about 10 days and hope that the vertigo goes away.
Right.
And
so. Yeah.
And also the herpes, I had to keep taking, and the tablets for herpes are just so expensive. Right. If I didn't take the tablets, I'd have a bad breakout of
on your skin, or
on my skin. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a cold sore, and it just comes really bad.
So what happened? What did you change?
Just quickly, I'd like to say that the reason that I changed is because I've had a triple heart bypass, and my stepdaughter, who's 10 years younger than me, or 11 years younger than me, was rushed into hospital with 2 massive heart attacks, and she said, no, I'm not having stents and I'm not having a triple heart bypass, I'm going to do the Gerson diet. And I advised her to have the triple heart bypass, and then I thought, well, no, tell me what page you're reading from, and I started reading from the same page, and I ended up going on 80-10-10, and that's my way forward from 80-10-10, which is 80% carbs, 10% fat and 10% protein. If I stick to that, to the rule, by the book, I don't have high blood pressure, and I only lapsed once. My blood pressure now is that of a child.
Wow.
It used to be very high, even on medication, and now it's like 111 over 56 over 60. But once I lapsed, I had a bag of crisps, and I didn't feel too good, and I checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure has risen to 142.
Wow.
So I know the power of eating the wrong foods.
And and how do you feel today?
How do I feel today? I've come to this fruit festival, and I've joined in with absolutely every activity that there is. Before, I never ever breathed through my nose. I always breathed through my mouth. I think this is why they give me the triple heart bypass, because I complained of shortness of breath and everything. I think it was just basically eating the wrong food wasn't allowing me to breathe through my nose. I've run today and I've kept up with the 20-year-olds. I've just kept up with the 20-year-olds.
Amazing.
And it's being able to run that I will never ever go back. I'll always stay on the diet that I'm on now.
Right. And is all the things you mentioned, are they healed?
All gone. 3 months it took for me to come off all my medication.
And you're fully raw, or?
I'm fully raw.
Right.
And I've had blood tests, I can back up, my liver's back where it should be. All my, everything in my body is back. It took a good few months, but everything's back where it should be.
Wow.
And I went for my January checkup for my heart, and the doctor, my heart is functioning fantastic, and I don't need any medication anymore.
And what was the problem with your husband?
Oh, my husband, he caught something, and I think that was through eating meat, meningitis. He caught meningitis, and I think it was from a dodgy tin of corned beef. He was declining really badly, and he was relying more and more on a wheelchair, and he couldn't read a book anymore. He couldn't use the remote control on the TV. He was just going, although he's 77 now. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose? Let's start him on the diet, because I'm his full-time carer. Started him on the diet, and I'm not saying he's 100%. But for the fact that he loses his balance, and I saw him sit on the side of the bath without falling in the other day, just says it all. Yeah. He walks now. He walks on his own.
Wow.
Up around the mountain, and he doesn't like the diet. I've got to say, he doesn't like the diet, but he won't change. Even though he's mentally, he won't change. He knows. And he was always constant. This is the thing for him that he has noticed. He had a white furring of his tongue, a real bad white furring. I'd given up kissing him because of the smell of his breath was so bad. Oh. And I love him. I want to kiss him, but because his breath was so bad, it was like, and he couldn't go to the toilet. And I had to help him because, that's what they do in Spain. They give you the enemas. They say, right, put the gloves on, and this is what you have to do.
Wow.
And it was degrading for my husband. And now his body is working the way it did when he was, young. He goes to the toilet, and also, more so than me, when he had his valve wasn't working last year because he'd had a valve replacement. And the valve wasn't functioning properly. And because he's 77, they're not going to give him another operation. And they rechecked him this year, January. His valve is working. His valve is working again, and he's functioning really well. And the last thing I will say is he's on warfarin. Warfarin is like rat poison.
Right.
Because he's got a false valve in his body. He's got to be on warfarin. And warfarin's one of the worst medications that you can actually take. He was on one whole tablet. They cut him down to half a tablet, and now they're cut him down to a quarter of a tablet.
Oh.
And, so he's not on any medication.
No.
He was on, and one other thing that, I'll just say this.
Yeah, sure.
One other thing that was happening all my married life is he had to take sleeping tablets and nerve tablets himself because of everything, but they gave it to him because he used to have really violent nightmares where he'd punch out and he'd have me by the throat.
Oh no.
So for 25 years I had to sleep with my back to him just in case, because then I'd get the punch in my back or I'd get a chance to get out of the way. He don't get none of that anymore.
That's amazing.
He sleeps. He goes to bed at 9. I don't hear him till 8 o'clock the next day. It gets rid of, how we snore when we get older. He don't snore anymore. I could just go
on and on. That's such an amazing improvement, both for you and for him. So
yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard, but if you get the support of the people who are out there, and I think I believe. I read 98 books until I got to the 80-10-10 book. Right. And I'm glad I read the 98 books because it got me as far as... But I was lonely. And then when I started reading 80-10-10 and the penny drop that you don't have to spend loads of money, you just need to eat fruits and vegetables and maybe join Dr. Graham's forum. And if you've got any, questions about how much fruit should I eat, or we're there to, and Dr. Graham's
and
there.
I'm there.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, I do coachings, so I can help as well.
Yeah, so it's through meeting Dr. Graham or the forum and everybody answering my questions that I've come to accept that this is the norm, and what I did before wasn't the norm.
Right. Well, thank you ever so much for sharing these stories and
Thank you.
Experiences. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hvis du gerne vil vide mere om, hvordan du kan forbedre dit helbred, så er der 2 ting, du kan gøre lige nu. Det første, det er, at du kan abonnere på mig her på YouTube, og så vil du modtage videoer hver gang jeg laver en ny. Det andet, det er at gå ind på min hjemmeside og hente min gratis Kom i gang guide, og samtidig vil du også modtage nyheder fra mig og endnu flere gode videoer, der kan forbedre dit helbred. Min hjemmeside, det er www.rask.dk, og det eneste, du skal gøre, det er at klikke på skærmen nu.